Hello and welcome to the A24 Pod.
Oh, a new skew.
It's got a nice ring to it.
Yeah, baby.
A24 Pod.
This is that new pod smell. Can you smell it?
New pod gang.
This is our second podcast. We also have Best/Worst. Hope you guys will check it out.
I'm sure you've already heard of it.
Yeah, hopefully you are a returning listener.
Hopefully.
Returning listener.
Coming
A
back for
repeat
some sweet
customer.
verbal.
What will they think of next?
Well, this podcast we're going to be doing
Well, this podcast.
each and every episode. We will be tackling a different A24 movie.
Yeah, and in case you don't know what A24 is,
Yeah,
it's a studio.
It's a movie studio, yes.
Movie studio that produces movies.
Mostly independent movies.
Independent movies you might have already heard of. Some popular ones like Ex Machina, Hereditary, that good scary movie that came out everybody liked.
The new Midsommar.
Midsummer.
Yeah, Midsommar.
It's Midsummer.
And it's mostly independent dramas, sci-fi, horror.
And in case you couldn't pick up the tone by the intro music, it's a little spooky sci-fi.
Yeah,
A little creepy.
yeah, a little violin.
Yeah.
Creepy.
You know,
Definitely
a little
movies that make you
plucking
think.
of the guitar, whatever the fuck that thing was. Mostly plucking. Any
Oh.
instrument you can pluck is pretty creepy.
anything violin, string.
All right, well, in the first episode of the A24 Pod, we'll be talking about Under the Skin. Ooh, yeah. Pretty sexy movie, right, guys?
Just like a
Very sexy.
splinter.
What?
Just like a splinter.
Under the skin.
Oh, yeah, baby. It is a 2013 sci-fi film directed and co-written by Jonathan Glazer.
Oh, everybody's favorite. That no
The
one
brother
knows.
of Sally Glazer. Also the
Really?
brother of John Martin.
Glazer?
Yeah.
Wait, his name's John Glazer and his brother's name is John Martin?
Yeah.
Oh,
Is it John like Jean?
No,
Like
it's John like
like
Juane.
oh yeah,
Juan.
Yeah.
Juan.
Okay. All right, well, it's loosely based on a 2000 novel by Michael Faber.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And it
Wasn't
stars...
he Magneto? In the
No, it's Michael
recent
Fassbender.
X-Men? Yeah, I know.
All right. Enough of the funnies.
Yeah, back down to serious
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah.
Dumb
Sorry.
it down, all right? We're going off the rails.
A24 is serious.
Yes.
We're going off the reel.
It stars Scarlett Johansson as an otherworldly woman who preys on men in Scotland.
Also known as an alien.
Yes.
Succubus.
Oh,
Oh,
I like that shit.
A honeypot of pure death.
it's a fucking honey hole, dude.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, well, I had a budget of $13.3 million, and
Oh.
it made 7.2.
That's it?
Wow.
Oh, it was a flop?
Paid pretty bad return.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like it.
Really?
Yeah, I remember
There's
when
a lot
it
of bad
came out.
reviews.
I think critically, I think it has a good.
It's like a 6.6.
Well, that's but I'm talking critic. Well, let me pull up the critic.
Yeah, because the feelings I had was when it came out, it
Yeah, I
looked
hate
really
critics.
cool.
I don't care what they think.
Yeah, it looked really cool. But I remember when it came out, it kind of had the general feel that
It has a
was,
78
wasn't that
Metascore.
good.
Has a 78 Metascore, which is actually pretty high. Metascore,
That's not
obviously.
bad.
Yeah. Let me pull up Rotten Tomatoes.
IMDb was a 6.6.
Yeah, that's user reviews.
Yeah, but well, I
I
mean,
don't
our
trust
whole, our,
everybody.
I mean, I can see
our
a mo-
entire other podcast is based off of that, right?
I know
Yeah.
that.
We could at least give
That's a
it some
different
credit.
pod. I don't know what you're speaking
We
of.
could give it some credit.
I don't know what you're speaking of.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying a lot of critics hated this movie. I said a lot of people hated this movie. You know, the people who pay the money to see the movie, the reason movies exist.
Yeah,
you
'cause
know?
I can
People who
see
didn't go and
people-
see it.
This movie,
The
just like
fucking not the
Enemy,
critics.
you know, there's probably a lot of people that go see it that just think it's like
Oh, yeah.
stupid.
Yeah, they're just
You know?
expecting another.
I guarantee
Yeah.
Enemy's probably similar. Where,
Yeah.
Like right here, Under the Skin, 84% Rotten Tomatoes, certified fresh, and has a 55% audience score.
Yeah,
Wow.
So
that's because they're like, what the fuck?
yeah, like this movie's weird. Like
Yeah.
there's scenes where it's just like no talking,
Yeah,
standing
yeah.
around,
Yeah.
scenery.
Symbolic.
You know, you have to appreciate
For
because
sure.
it is weird.
For sure. A24 is fucking motto, dude.
Yeah. Their taste in movies, A24, is like all similar in a sense.
Yeah.
You know, like The
Similar
Witch.
tone.
You know, like that's very similar. Like
Eerie.
Not a lot of talking.
Eerie,
I think
strange.
they have actually A24. I think has a rule where there can't be more than 500 words in the entire script.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they ain't
You think
reading
so?
it.
It's like Twitter. There's a
What about
character
that?
cap.
What about Moonlight?
Well, that just had a lot of spitting and hands on grunting. No, but even that though, there was definitely Moonlight from what I remember. It was pretty like similar, like not too much talking, some dialogue, and I don't know. It was a lot. Now
I'm
that I
excited
think
to
of
watch
it.
that movie eventually
It was
Yeah, me
very
too.
similar.
because it won Best Picture. And that whole controversy with that and La La Land.
Oh
If you
yeah,
guys remember when La La Land got there? When it got announced, and it was like, oh wait, sorry.
oh wait, because he read the wrong one.
Yeah, they read the wrong movie.
Was it Steve? Was it Steve Harvey? No, that was something else
No,
he did.
it was Jimmy Kimmel. No, who did read it?
That's
I don't
awkward.
know. Well, fuck it. It's not even
Yeah.
worth looking up.
We'll
We're
save
not
it
even
for
talking
our-
about Moonlight. The Moonlight Pod will fucking
Yeah.
bring it up. But this
Then
is
we'll
under
watch
the
the
skin,
movie.
baby.
Then we'll watch her.
Under the skin, baby.
Under the skin, baby. All right. Should we dive into the plot?
Yeah.
Let's dive head
All right,
first.
Let's dive right in. In Glasgow, Scotland, a motorcyclist retrieves an inert young woman from the roadside and places her in the back of a van where a naked woman dons her clothes. Obviously, that's
Scarlett Johansson
Scarlett Johansson
taking the clothes.
plays a nameless woman, and she's putting on clothes. And the beginning of the movie starts off where it sounds like she's like learning English,
Yeah, it's like her going through syllables and
like becoming a human.
pronouncing, like learning how to pronounce the human language.
And obviously, you don't know until the end when you put it all together, but that the body that the motorcycle guy picks up is a former alien.
Yeah, you could interpret that way.
Yeah, I mean, but to know that right off the bat, like this movie's very.
I think it's hard to
yeah.
know
the
that.
first
I think,
half hour is.
I think it's
very
hard to know that
confusing.
at all.
Yeah,
The movie doesn't really confirm it.
it's all how you interpret it, but
Yeah,
Mm.
whatever that was, that thing was still alive.
by the end of this movie, it's definitely not as complicated as Enemy. Like that movie
Yeah.
required you to look up an ending explained.
Yeah,
This movie, if you're following along very meticulously and not eating pizza like we were,
I think
that's some
No,
stuff.
but
This movie is very straightforward. I think.
I mean,
I think
even
this
if
movie can be hard for some people to
Yeah, I could see some people. Obviously, this
understand what they're trying to tell.
audience score is 55. I mean, I bet you half
That's-
the people watch
yeah.
it and are like, "This is trash."
Yeah,
I mean, I saw and it was still easy to pick up in the fact of that, she was some kind of alien creature that was like more or less on a mission or just abducting these men.
Mm-hmm.
And then that guy that was the motorcycle guy or whatever, he
Yeah.
was just in cahoots with her.
Yeah, she's like,
You
he's
know.
just her cleanup man.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I think there's this movie's easier to understand what is going on.
Yeah. Maybe not
Whereas-
why.
and not why.
Yeah.
Whereas Enemy was hard to understand what was going on and
Mhm.
why it was going on.
Yeah, that movie was. It's eventually we'll talk about that.
We'll get to
Obviously-
that.
Yeah, we'll talk. About
We'll have to
that.
rewatch that again.
Oh,
Maybe.
definitely.
Episode
That's a
59.
great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
59
59. Hey,
All right.
bloke.
Let's get back to the plot.
plot.
After buying clothes and makeup at a shopping center, the woman drives the van around Scotland, picking up men. She lures a man into the dilapidated house as he undresses, following the woman into the void. He is submerged in a liquid abyss.
Oh.
And then, you see a big, nice, hard wiener in that scene.
It wasn't that
yeah.
big.
5-6 inches.
Yeah,
right?
I think it was below average.
You think
Yeah,
so?
I think it was like probably
4?
closer to 4.5, 5. 5 on a
Okay.
good day.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a tiny guy.
Okay.
Yeah, and about 3 inches of that was knob.
And that scene.
Yeah.
In that scene, like that's the first time you see her lure a man. As
Yeah.
she's walking backwards, and the crazy like
All black abyss.
music's playing, and she's like hunting the guy and luring him in using
Yeah.
her sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was so trippy too, the effect, because it's all pitch black,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, she's backing up, he's following her, and then she's, they're walking in the same like path, but then all of a sudden, then he like gets submerged, like starts like stepping into water.
Yeah, he's like
Which is-
sinking in
yeah,
like quicksand almost.
That was a really cool effect.
Just can't stop looking at her. Just like
Yeah, mesmerized.
Yeah, it's like a tractor beam.
mesmerized by her. Next major scene, she's at a beach watching I think a man swim.
Yeah.
She thinks he's surfing, but he's just swimming, I guess.
Mm.
And they're talking, and then they're interrupted by I think one of the most disturbing scenes in the whole movie.
Hands
this scene
down.
right here is going to stick with me for a long time.
Yeah, one of the most disturbing scenes I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I
ever,
know.
because it was so real.
Yeah, it
I don't
was.
even know how they filmed it. That's how real it was.
I know.
Like, I think they sacrificed
Well,
3 actors. Oh no, 2 actors and a dog.
what makes it scarier too, and because we'll talk about it later, but there was a lot of cameras, like hidden cameras set up, and if a lot of
Yeah, I
this
like the way
filming-
they filmed this movie. It
a lot of
felt
this filming
authentic.
was
It
hid-
felt like you
yeah.
were watching something real.
So that maybe they just didn't break they didn't break character.
No, those people died.
People died.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, all right, so she's talking to the guy who was in a swimsuit, and he looks like a surfer, but he's just swimming. And they're talking, and all of a sudden they hear crying or loud screaming, and they look over, and it's a lady, in the crazy water.
Yeah, they're on a rocky beach.
Yeah, rocky
and,
beach, and the winds are crazy, and the
the
waves
tide
are
is very
huge.
aggressive, and there's
Yeah.
a heavy undertow.
And the lady's trying to swim after her dog, who's like
The
drowning.
dog is being swept away in the undertow,
Yeah, and then-
she's trying to save her dog, but not realizing that she can't handle
Yeah, no.
to swim in that either.
And then the husband is like running in, and then the guy, the swimmer in the swimsuit, who's talking to Scarlett Johansson, runs in there, tries to save them, and saves the husband.
Saves the husband, drags him onto the beach.
And you watch like the dog gets submerged, like it's drowning.
Yeah.
Then you watch the woman submerge,
And you see her head disappear.
and it's so real.
Yeah.
And then the husband gets saved, but then runs back in to save his wife.
Gets up and regains energy and goes back in.
Yeah.
So then that happens, and then she sees the swimmer guy laying on the ground, and she takes the opportunity to kidnap him.
She walks up,
Whacks him in the
she
head
said,
with a rock.
easy catch right here."
Yeah,
You know.
fucking easy.
Oh yeah, and the
baby.
best part was that he was like traveler. He was like a backpacker.
Yeah.
He was like not from the area. He was like living in a tent
Yeah,
on the
because
beach.
most of the first half of the movie, when she's like, hunting pretty much for men, she keeps asking the men like, are you from around here? Do you have any family? Anybody
yeah,
miss
like looking
you?
for the perfect victim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this guy seemed obviously perfect, so she takes the opportunity, whacks him in the head with a rock.
Yeah.
That looked real too, actually.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then she's dragging his body, and you see a baby, like the family's baby, sitting there.
Then you
crying.
realize that they had a baby with them.
Yeah,
and it's,
oh my
it's
God.
just sitting on the beach crying. It's so
Yeah.
disturbing.
And the
And you can't
parents,
help
the
but think
dog,
about
they're
how
dead.
terrible that situation is for that child.
And she's like ignoring them, like she has
She's no reaction.
no emotion to humans at all.
All
Like,
Yeah.
she's
maybe
thinking about
nothing.
is getting a body.
yeah. She's a woman on a mission. Humans mean nothing to her.
Yeah. Yet. Ooh.
All right, so then later she's going back to hunting. She's walking around, and then she is like following this one guy, and then all of a sudden a pack of women like grab her because they're going into the
Oh yeah,
nightclub.
bachelorette
yeah.
party.
Yeah, and
She
like,
gets wrapped up.
"Woo!"
Yeah, and they drag her into the club.
And then it's like too much for her almost at first. She's like,
Too many
what
people.
The fuck
Oh,
is
yeah.
going on? But
Too many
then,
variables.
but then she goes to the quiet section of the club, and the guy starts talking to her and flirts with her, and she's like, "Oh, here we go,
Oh yeah.
caught one, baby."
Yeah.
And that guy's the funniest because he's like, when he's like stripping in the black room,
He's like still dancing.
He's like dancing.
yeah,
He's like,
he's like,
yeah.
"You're here. I'm gonna get
and
laid."
he has a boner.
He's got a little bone.
How'd they get the morale? Do you think they just chubbed him up real quick?
Probably.
It's on the actor, man.
Yeah.
That
It's
or
like
also
crying.
Scarlett Johansson, she's showing a little skin.
Yeah, I wonder if they get to look at her. What?
Oh.
She bent over and coughed.
I wonder it.
So then that's the guy that when she kidnaps him and he walks into the black goo and submerges, he's the one who sinks down and sees the
And then
other
we
guy
fo-
from
we
earlier.
follow him under. We get to
Yeah.
see in the water.
Yeah, whatever that goo, whatever the hell that shit
Yeah,
is.
and he's like floating there, and he's kind of like his body's like twitching.
Yeah.
And then he sees the other guy from earlier, and then like goes out to touch him, like grabs his hand. Then all of a sudden he like goes back, and his body like shrivels up into
Yeah,
like
he's like you can tell he's like waterlogged.
he's like
Yeah.
not even a human at that point. It's just
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
watery skin sack.
Yeah.
And then then it pops, which made
Yeah,
me
then all of a
jump.
sudden it's like all the innards just get sucked out in one
Yeah.
instant, and
It's
it's
like a-
just the husk.
He turns like a ribbon.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like the
Yeah.
skin ribbon husk of the shell, and then you just see the husk floating there. It almost looked like a plastic bag in the wind.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
fucking floating there.
And then you see the innards, the red goo from his body, like through a trough. Like
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
conveyor belt almost into
Yeah.
like some kind of red.
it's gross.
Very mysterious.
Very weird.
Mm. these aliens, what are they doing with their insides?
I don't know.
Yeah,
They're
I
making
wonder.
meat pies like Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, they make meat pies, then they
Yeah,
eat
are they
it.
eating it? Are they using it as fuel? Or is,
I was wondering fuel.
is it like a battery? Is it like the Matrix? Is it?
Yeah. I was wondering if they like recycle it and use it to make like skin for the humans. Because
Why men only? Yeah, but that would be only self-sustaining to the project. The project wouldn't serve any purpose other than just to sustain itself.
Yeah, their innards must be some sort of energy. I
Right,
mean,
and
what
why
else could
only
it be?
men?
Easy tar. I mean, use it because maybe men always fall victim to, to sexuality. Men are very sexual beings.
Oh, so it's just the easiest catch?
The easiest catch is
Probably,
using
yeah.
sex.
I thought maybe it was like specific for some reason. Like they needed the guys to be aroused.
I thought that, but I mean, before they showed him getting in the green goop, that she was like actually having sex with them, and then like getting something
Like
out
trying
of
to
it.
take their seed.
Yeah, or something, and
No,
then
I don't
like,
think
killing them.
That's what I thought it was gonna be. But then when I saw them go into the goo, I was like,
Yeah, no.
do they need them to be? Is it something specific to them being aroused? Are they trying to learn something about the human drive for procreation?
No, I think it's just that was.
I think it's just
trap.
using sex to lure them in. I think that's all it is, just
That's
to get
it,
that
just-
red goo. I don't think it's even that
Yeah.
complicated.
Really? Yeah, but couldn't they
I
just
don't-
steal anybody then?
I think it's just
Well,
luring
that's-
them, it's luring someone in. I think once they see the door, a normal person who's not around, whose main goal is like, I'm gonna bang this hot Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, well, couldn't she
Like
just?
men would do anything. That's the point of the movie, is that men would do anything.
Yeah, but then why
for
wouldn't they
sex.
take the baby? Why wouldn't they take a homeless person? Why wouldn't they take? It was a very specific to men seeking to have sex.
Well, I think that's
with-
also the metaphor of the book, or book /
Yeah, it
movie.
was specific to that. It wasn't just any human.
Yeah, plus they wouldn't. Yeah, they also were looking for stranger.
Why wouldn't she
strangers,
just
but
knock
travelers.
out anybody?
You
Why
know?
why even care if they had any human connection or if they had family? I mean, to
to
not get caught, but
not get caught. So
You're
they wouldn't
also
have
an
to move,
alien,
maybe?
so what does it even matter? If
Yeah, what does it
you
matter?
get
Like,
caught?
just go somewhere else.
yeah.
right.
Move your operation.
That's why I felt to me like it was like an experiment.
Well,
Like we're trying to learn more about this.
it's definitely something that they didn't explain. So
Right.
At this point, it's just going to be opinions.
Well, that's the
Yeah.
point of this podcast. You know,
Yeah,
is
I mean,
for us
you're.
to
Yeah.
dive in and try to figure out what we think it means.
They wanted to-
We're doing a podcast.
They wanted to learn
Oh, shit,
about
there's a mic
lonely
here.
men. Lonely men.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because maybe they don't have because the aliens seem very emotionless.
Mhm.
So maybe they're trying to figure out the
Mm.
animal and the human. You know,
Yeah, how
like
they-
what
how we
makes us
work.
tick and makes us procreate and makes us drive to keep going.
Suck and fuck.
All right. Well, the next day, the woman receives a rose from a street vendor, and she notices blood on her hand when she gets the rose given to her because a random man bought it for her. Because once again, sees a random guy sees a hot girl, buys her a rose from a street vendor for no apparent reason, just because she's hot.
Right.
And she notices blood on her hand, and then looks over, and the street vendor's hands are all pricked from the roses. Then she's listening to a radio report, and she hears, and that seems pretty good because it's just like watching her sit there and listen to the radio. And it's just like the news of the
They're
missing
reporting out the
family.
story.
Yeah,
Mm.
that was pretty
They didn't
disturbing.
find the baby. That's what the weirdest part was.
Yeah.
They said
Like, did the tide come in?
they found
Yeah.
the husband's body washed up on shore, and the wife and baby were missing. Like,
Mm.
what happened to the baby?
The tide could have came in.
Yeah.
You know,
They
the
just
tide
taken the
could have
baby?
kept
Plus,
going.
the baby, like they said, it was an 18
It just
18-month-year-old. So
died of
so
exhaustion.
if it even went near the water, got in just a little bit, probably
Yeah, 'cause
sucked right out.
It showed it could kind of walk, so like maybe
Yeah.
it did like stumble over there and oh god.
Or just lay on the beach. Like, just fall asleep on the beach of
Mhm.
exhaustion, and the tide just takes him.
Mm.
It's fucked up.
And
Fucked
then,
up.
then she seduces a guy with facial disfigurement who's a real actor with that disease,
Yep.
which is pretty nuts.
It's like
because at first you're like, is it?
neurofibrosis or whatever the heck they.
Yeah, at first he's like, is it prosthetics or is it?
Yeah, he couldn't tell.
Yeah, I was like, those are some really good special effects if they are, but found out it's not. It's a real guy, and she starts seducing him, telling him he had like nice hands and like talking to him, learning more about him. And at first he's like reluctant, and
Then he gives in.
He gives in, of course. I mean,
He
he's
gives
hot.
in. Yeah.
What are you gonna do? I mean, if you got a chance to bang her, why would you not take her?
Right.
So then she takes him to this rundown house, and she seduces him into the goo. Then she's walking out, and she sees the mirror, and she looks herself in the eyes, and like I don't know if she feels bad or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for the first time, truly feels bad for someone that she did it to. So she lets him go, and then runs off. And then the motorcycle guy like instantly knows. Like I don't know how they have a connection like through their brains.
got it.
Yeah. Some kind of hive
The
mind.
motorcycle guy instantly knows. So he I don't know. Did he turn around or whatever he does in his motorcycle?
Yeah, it goes like straight to basically intercepts him shortly.
He knows
after.
exactly where the guy was gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. How do you know exactly where the guy lived?
Maybe there's like some kind of recon going on with the fucking spaceship up in.
It's weird. But yeah, so she lets him go. The disfigured guy is going back to his house, and then as soon as he gets there, the motorcycle guy's there, ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
He walks up to a house that they just knew where to go, punches out a window to the car in the driveway, pops the trunk, walks into the backyard where the guy is perfectly walking up, and just takes him and puts him in the trunk. Drives away with the car.
He's like just getting to his backyard.
Perfect.
that scene was pretty badass with him in the helmet. He walks up and punches the window.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
pretty fucking badass.
Yeah.
And drives away, steals them, obviously, to tie up loose ends and put him in the goo.
Yeah.
So no matter what, the disfigured guy dies. Like, he's dead.
Yeah. Because he
Kinda
brings him
sad.
back to that house. Well, he might also been looking for Scarlett Johansson, but I bet maybe at that point he threw him in the goo too.
Oh, definitely. Just toss him right in.
Yeah.
Get the fuck in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Blue hair.
So then she runs away and she starts kind of like exploring her humanity, kind of becoming more human, right? What
Yeah.
you gather from this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's starting to break.
She's
Crack.
starting to break, yeah. And then she runs, what does she start doing? I mean, she goes to a restaurant, tries to eat cake, spits it out, makes a scene. Really embarrassing scene.
Yeah. Real bad. How'd she pay that bill?
I don't,
Yeah,
I don't know. She just dined and ditched.
I know.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And then she goes to a bus stop. She meets a man who offers to help her for the first time. A guy isn't just trying to, abuse her sexuality and just kind of genuinely tries to help her.
Yeah.
But then still wants to fuck.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what, it ends up going back to I'm going to fuck you.
Yeah. Either you put out or you get out.
Yeah, because he does give her a lot. He gives her
Yeah.
a coat, a place to sleep.
Yeah, he
Feeds her.
really established his value
Yeah.
in the beginning.
They go out on a date. He takes her on a date.
Yeah.
He carries her through a puddle.
Yeah.
They go to a rundown castle. It's a great day in Scotland.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Jesus, what nice countryside. God, I want to go to Scotland.
Yeah, after
You look
this.
beautiful.
Oh,
It
beautiful.
did look
It
beautiful.
does. Very windy though. It looked like. All right. What's next? Oh yeah. They get back after the date. They start kissing, and then they begin to have sex. She doesn't really even know what sex is, and then when it starts to happen, when he starts putting his wiener inside of her vagina,
Mm-hmm.
it freaks her out. She grabs like a lamp and like gets really close and it's like examining her vagina.
Yeah.
And then she runs away. The guy has blue balls.
Ugh.
What the hell?
Jeez.
He goes,
He's back to being lonely.
beats
Yeah.
one off in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she starts wandering in this crazy forest, and then she bumps into a logger, and she takes shelter in like a cabin.
Yeah, like a hiker's cabin.
Yeah.
For people trapped in storms.
And as soon as you see the logger, you're like, oh, here we go. Creep.
Yeah. He's like, better watch out in the
Instantly.
woods there. It's kind of
Yeah.
slippery.
Yeah, watch out and puddles and shit.
Mind your footing.
And she wakes up from her nap in the cabin and finds the logger molesting
And
her.
then
Yeah.
the logger's there, and he's like rubbing her thigh and
Yeah,
like,
I
getting
know.
real suggestive.
Jeez,
Getting sap everywhere.
God, guys just cannot stop abusing her.
He's
No.
like, I bet she's gonna go to that cabin.
Yeah.
Like after he walked by her. Yeah.
I wonder where she is. Oh, that cabin.
Obviously.
So then she runs away from her molester, and she runs into the wilderness, and he catches up to her and begins to rape her. And he when he's being aggressive with her, he tears her skin by accident, and she gets up, and that's when you know a semi not a huge twist in the movie because you
Yeah.
already know she's an alien. But
yeah.
the semi twist is that she's just wearing a skin suit over her black alien.
Over her body.
Yeah, over her
Whatever.
anthropomorphic black
Anthropomorphic
body.
figure.
Yeah.
And
Over
even the
black
black
body.
body too, it's still very human-like. Like
Oh,
it has
yeah.
muscle tone,
Yeah.
like almost everything. And the head looks a little bit large, but
Scary looking.
yeah.
Definitely. Very creepy imagery.
Mm.
And she begins to tear her skin off of her. So then it's just a black silhouette looking body. And then fucking Logger comes out of nowhere and douses her in gasoline and
he
sets her on
comes back to
fire.
Yeah, I
his
know, he
job,
comes
dude.
back.
Oh my
Yeah.
god! He's like, ugh,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Disgusting.
Oh, you know what I just realized?
What?
I remember like at one point earlier in the movie, you know how you see that black figure like on the ship,
Yeah.
like near her? I feel like when I remember seeing it, but it looked like half of its body was missing. It looked like it was all like weird and like holy or whatever.
Mhm.
Like it didn't look like it was completely solid.
Mhm.
I wonder if they were killing all these guys for the gobbledygook to maybe repair.
Oh, maybe they use it as like a Medigel.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to
Maybe.
watch it again. That's
Like-
one scene I
like,
couldn't tell. It looked like it
Like
was
stem cells almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it could be.
like. I don't know.
Honestly, the movie's so open ended with that you,
Yeah.
It had
you
to,
could make
it
up
has
anything.
to serve for all of them to go through all this work. It has to serve some kind of
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's
You
either
know,
food or
it's
it's
some kind of
energy or
huge
it's,
Maybe it's their
resource.
Chobani. They just eat it in the
Yeah,
morning.
It's,
It's
like
yogurt.
Greek yogurt.
they
Yeah.
traveled here for yogurt.
Yeah, for yogurt.
Have you
Sucking
ever
it out
had
of
human
men.
yogurt? Have you ever had horny man human yogurt?
Oh
It's
god.
the fucking best shit out.
Yeah.
Ah.
And some of them just suck it out like a Go-Gurt straight
Yeah.
out of that skin, you know, when they get all weird
The
and waterlogged.
skin husk. Yeah. They
And while-
they just pack it in like a lip, dude.
Yeah,
Just like
yeah.
that skin husk just sit there.
Oh.
And while
Suck
she
the juices.
and while she's all doing all this stuff, getting molested and raped and all that stuff in the woods, the motorcycle guy ends up being 4 guys.
He calls
Yeah.
for backup.
He calls for backup.
Yeah.
He goes,
He goes for backup.
And they drive around like badasses on their motorcycles.
Yeah.
Their
They all have
crotch
the
rockets,
same fucking suit.
and they all split up and they're all in the crazy suit. And then the end of the movie is that she gets set on fire. She burns up into like ash and body parts,
Mm-hmm.
and it shows the motorcycle guy staying on a mountaintop. You can't find her, and that's it.
Roll credits.
Yeah, cut to black.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy movie.
Yeah. It
Pretty
was
crazy.
nuts.
Pretty symbolic.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like about how men treat women, and
Yeah.
we just look at women's out. Instead of looking inside them, you look on their outer. We take their outer beauty for granted, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't really look
No, we take their
under
inner
the
beauty.
skin.
We take their inner beauty for granted.
Oh yes, that's
Yeah.
what I meant to say. Thank you, Tom.
We emphasize on
That's why you're here.
we emphasize on the idealistic views of society, and we neglect
Black skinned women.
beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's like the twist on that Twilight Zone episode. Remember that one?
Which one?
The Twilight Zone episode with the pig faces.
Yeah, that
The
classic,
classic one,
We saw that
right.
in school.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, was that?
Yeah, did we? Yeah.
Did we?
Really?
No, I saw it in school.
I don't know.
I mean, you did go to the same school as me.
Well, I'd have to, yeah, but I'd have to watch
I don't
it.
know what grade it was,
I'd
so
have
I
to see
honestly,
it.
we
Yeah,
were,
it's
we were obviously
the
different
Twilight
classes.
Zone
I'm just fucking
episode
around.
where they is a woman who underwent some sort of form of plastic surgery,
Mm.
and the whole thing is shot where you only see her with bandages over her face, like wrapped around her head, and you never really see the doctors. They're just like off camera. You can hear them talking to her, and she's like, "Am I gonna be beautiful? Am I gonna fit in with society?" And they're like, "Don't worry, we fixed it. You were horrific, but you're gonna be normal now." And then at the end of the episode, they finally start taking the bandages off, and it's all dramatic. And then the doctors are reacting. They're like, "Oh my god, it didn't work.
Yeah.
She's still hideous. Oh!" And then she's like, "Oh!" And she fucking runs away, and she finally sees herself in a mirror, and she's a beautiful actress.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous. And then they show everybody else in the world, and they all look like pigs. They have
Oh,
like
yeah.
big pig
Yeah,
snouts, and like
snouts.
they're like,
Jesus.
like fucking
Yeah.
like really
Yeah.
freaky looking. And then it's just the message at the end was that beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Mm.
That was kind of which the tone of this was.
Oh, for sure.
But I also like how this movie like I like how like in the beginning where she was like in hunt mode, and like she did a really good job in this role. I feel like she does good when like she's very like cold-hearted. Like when
Mm.
she's like playing a cold-hearted, like almost emotionless, like even with like Black Widow and stuff where it's like she's supposed to be like very serious.
Yeah.
She does good at that shit, and like she was like very serious. She's like talking to the people. She's like smiling at the guy trying to seduce him.
Yeah,
And she hears
yeah.
that he has a family, and like her whole tone changes on her
Yeah.
face, and like she's like all about her mission. And then when she takes over that Elephant Man guy and puts him in the goo. And then when she's walking down and she sees herself in the mirror, she sees herself like their alien race seemed like imagine if like the human race lived for another million years and we like left this planet and we like lived on spaceships and like we never got sun, like it was all just about like the drive to keep going, like needing to survive, like you need food, you need sleep, like it just becomes like so baseline, like there's no enjoyment, there's no like humanity left. And like even like down to like their features, like when she finally took off her skin, she had like no discernible features. She was just like a blank slate of a person. Yeah. Which is almost like symbolic to what their race had become. And then for her to start seeing all the human values and things that go on in this world, and even though it didn't seem like she was really reacting to anything, it seemed like it was taking a toll on her. And then when she finally saw herself in the mirror, she like gained a sense of self as a human and saw her own beauty. And she saw that fly that was like trapped.
Yeah, and she begins to see also the beauty of the human race.
Of the human race.
They're kind to her earlier in the movie. I don't think we brought up in the plot, but she trips and falls, and
she trips and falls at one point. And people help her up, obviously, because she's beautiful, and she starts to kind of see what it means to be human and the beauty of it all, and what it's like to live in a society like that. And then she frees that guy, and then once you see her no longer under her mission, it's like a different person. It's like she's awoken for the first time, and she's like scared of everything. Instead of being like so confident and kind of taking control of situations, she's more being taken control of.
What badly wants to be human.
She's so vulnerable and like trying to just figure out what to do and where to go. And then she goes to that restaurant. She tries cake, because obviously these are advanced aliens. They just downloaded the internet and fucking learned everything. So she knows, people love cake. So she tries cake, but she doesn't like it. Imagine if you never tried sugar and then you just put something so sweet in your mouth. You'd be like, what the fuck? And then she just doesn't know where to go. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know what to say. She's not witty anymore. She doesn't have the comebacks. And you see her stripped down and trying to survive in like an alien planet, basically. And I thought that was really cool. And I like the fucking motorcycle guys.
Oh yeah, I like their scenes just because the cinematography was good. The movie did have great cinematography with like
they were badass.
The found footage look, also mixed with like real Scott. Like a movie felt real because it felt like you were in Scotland.
Yeah.
Which is also a very odd. Not many movies take place in Scotland, so it's cool to see that and see like even like the real Scottish people with their accents. Like you felt like wow, like you're in Scotland.
Yeah, and the beautiful like the windy roads and shit look like a car commercial.
And it's weird. Why would aliens go to Scotland?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, maybe it's just remote enough to draw attention. Enough. You're not gonna steal people out of New York City.
Yeah. Well, anywho, let's learn more about the movie and keep discussing it when we toss it over to the facts man.
Oh, we'll get some facts on the A24. You know what the A stands for in A24?
What?
Asshole?
Astros.
Oh.
Really?
Is that real?
Yeah, the founding, the guy who found the production company was a huge Astros fan.
Really?
No, I made that all up.
God damn you.
Well, like we talked about it.
Yes.
Scarlett Johansson does get a little bit naked in this movie.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put the rumors away, and it was 100% her.
Was it?
There was no stunt doubles or anything. It was all her acting.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So those titties
fucking
were 100% hers.
Balls.
Yeah, great. Just great. I like how she put herself out there. I appreciate it. You appreciate when actresses...
Even at her high level.
Yeah.
She didn't do it as a fame grab.
Like you're seeing Black Widow naked on screen.
Yeah. Right. And not only was everyone else happy, back in August in 2014, Mr. Skin placed Scarlett Johansson's nude scenes from the movie at number 1 on their list of top 150 greatest celebrity nude scenes of all time.
Wow.
So when this came out, Mr. Skin
because usually
when
actresses like her at her height are naked, usually there's a lot of cutting. You get a slight, even for like 1 second you'd see her ass. But in this, it's like you see her butt, you see her bush, you see her boobs, you see in multiple scenes. I mean,
especially the one where she's like looking at herself too. It's like it's really taking her time.
Oh yeah, you see her whole body.
Yeah,
like she's just checking out her feminine structure. All right. Anything
Beautiful
else?
body. Yeah. And then, like I had mentioned about the secret camera, so the majority of the men that she lured into the van weren't actually actors. The director, Jonathan Glazer, had hidden cameras installed in the van, and then they didn't tell the men until afterwards, letting them know that it was part of a movie, and obviously had to get their permission to use it.
Wow.
So that was another thing too.
Crazy.
They did a lot of hidden camera footage.
Those guys really thought they were going to get laid.
Yeah, I know, right? Poor guys. Poor guys.
Poor guys.
Dude, I don't know about you guys, but if a hot girl pulled up in a van and started asking me like where I was going, what I was doing, if I needed a ride, if I had any family,
Yeah, I'd be like, yeah,
I'd be a little
no.
Yeah, I
fucking
agree.
suspicious.
That's
Like,
no.
I'm gonna save my life and go home and masturbate tonight instead.
Yeah.
See you later.
like I would probably think it was a cop
Yeah.
trying to get me to pay for
Yeah,
prostitution.
or like in Practical Jokers or something.
No, I would think it was a sting, like a prostitution sting.
Yeah.
Something sketchy. So Adam Pearson, who was the gentleman, the disfigured man, who actually is disfigured, so we confirmed that. He didn't have the best luck. Actually, on his way to the audition, he broke his leg
Oh
when
my
he
God.
was struck by a cab.
Oh my
It's
god.
that poor man.
Yeah, this poor disfigured
Oh.
man. But the interesting thing was Jonathan Glazer actually went and met him at the hospital and did the audition there and ended up giving him the job.
Wow.
Yeah, how are you gonna not?
Yeah,
also,
I
his
know.
options are probably limited. I mean, there's not many that.
Yeah.
Right.
How many guys look like
that?
And aren't like retarded.
Hard R.
Hard R.
I'm being,
All right, what else?
I'm being honest.
I'm interested in learning about this movie. What else we got?
Well, so the movie actually took just about 10 years to be made. It was
my God.
it was a work in progress.
10 years for a box office failure.
Yeah. One of the early drafts actually included a Scottish married couple who were going to be the aliens. Brad Pitt at one point was considered to be the male. And then
Motorcycle
obviously,
Man.
yeah. And then obviously eventually they ended up changing the script and just focused purely on the female. But
Wow.
A different movie.
yeah. And then last but not least, to tie back into those hidden cameras, the scene where Scarlett Johansson falls, at the time, that became a really big popular like internet meme or whatever because there was no context for it. So people thought that she just genuinely ate shit in Scotland.
No.
And some
Wow.
people caught it on film, yeah.
Really?
Whereas it wasn't until the movie was released where people realized it was because of that they were in the movie and it was a lot of hidden
Oh, well, so the
cameras.
people around her were genuinely.
Yeah, the crazy thing is the majority of this movie, and that's what people were saying when I was reading some stuff, that they were surprised that like she didn't get recognized more. They literally just drove around Scotland filming this movie.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Like a lot of that's the market scene. A lot of that stuff is all. Even when she gets dragged into that bar, that's all real people.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like that's what's crazy.
I've always
about
heard
it.
that like on like Howard Stern on interviews and stuff. A lot of actors like living or living for short periods of time in other countries because you don't get recognized as much.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
in America, if Scarlett Johansson's walking around New York City or L.A.,
Yeah.
constant, people.
Yeah,
But in other countries, they just don't.
that's
They
why
don't know.
Macaulay Culkin loves Paris so much.
Yeah, exactly. That is actually very true.
yeah,
Wow, it's crazy.
yeah. Well, that's all I got, boys.
Oh, that was good.
That's
So-
an underused technique.
What?
Just genuine extras.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, like
It is,
real. Like,
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I mean,
underappreciated.
what, Bad Grandpa.
yeah, that Eric Andre movie coming
yeah,
out.
yeah, that
Oh,
movie
man,
coming
that-
out.
that
What is
movie's
it called?
gonna
Bad
be-
Trip.
yeah, something like that.
Which I do want to see, but it's not A24, so it won't be on this podcast.
No.
Very
It'll be on
strict
our
rules.
Eric
Yeah.
Andre podcast.
Yeah. All right. Let's toss over to the review man. What do we got?
All right, all
I
right, big
can only
guy.
imagine the bad one. What the fuck?
Yeah, I'm gonna start with the good one.
All right.
10 out of 10. Brave filmmaking. I believe I believe I lack the required vocabulary to sufficiently describe the impact Under the Skin had on me. Jonathan Glazer's bold, stark, and unsettling vision is a reflection on the human condition experienced through the eyes of a seemingly emotionless alien drone. The absence of a narrative structure, the virtually non-existent script, the harrowing soundtrack, and the astonishingly vibrant and inventive direction all create an atmosphere of deep menace and uneasy unpredictability. Add into the mix a career-high performance by the quite brilliant Skojo, and what you're left with in this film is a film that refuses to conform, a film that demands more from its audience, a film for the ages. Thank you, Mr. Glazer. I like that review because I think it sums it up pretty well.
Yeah.
And I think it does point out like how I think it's probably a reason why the reviews are really bad is because the absence of a narrative. A lot of these A24 movies aren't gonna be like full story arc.
Yeah, because even like you watch The Witch, it takes a while. Okay, it takes a while for like where is this movie going? You know, like,
Yeah.
This movie, like we were an hour in before you kind of started to see where this is going.
And we love A24. That's why we're doing this podcast. So we go into it knowing what to expect. But if you were just a regular ScoJo fanboy,
or like a horror fan,
yeah, and
you
you know Scarlett
you like
Johansson.
Conjuring, you know,
Yeah.
you're just like, oh, let's go see a horror movie. It's got Scarlett Johansson. You go and you're like, what the fuck?
What
is
the
this?
fuck is this? Like fucking blah blah blah. Like,
That's why when The Witch came out, it got great critic reviews, just like this movie. Horrible user.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People thought The Witch was like literally The Conjuring.
Yeah.
They go there and it's not that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
For anyone listening to this podcast, when you see A24 come on the screen when you're watching a movie,
Yeah.
just understand what you're getting into.
Yeah. Seriously.
You're not getting a story arc. You're getting a piece of a story arc.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. 10 out of 10. Now I'm going to go to the bad one. This one's a little bit lengthy, but it's funny. 1 out of 10. If you fall asleep, you have missed nothing. At the end of this film, someone shouted out, "What a load of old pony!" and a cheer went up in a fair proportion of the audience. That part either hadn't left the part that hadn't left the theater or hadn't fallen asleep. To continue the metaphor, then this film is up there with the old nag that Steptone and Son keep in their backyard. The opening minutes are pretty indicative of what's to come. A nonsensical light show that signifies what precisely. Throw in eerie soundtrack music and then extend it way beyond the powers of concentration of the most devoted viewers. The motorbike man runs into a dark ditch and picks up a woman who looks dead. Next, another woman strips the dead woman. Next, she is driving around Glasgow in a white van. The combination of darkness, semi-light, and Glaswegian accents, which are more or less incomprehensible, only serves to make whatever's going on the screen even more confusing. Somewhere along the line, the Elephant Man has escaped from another film and gets picked up by ScoJo. He doesn't drown like the previous two men that she seduces, but runs off naked across the moors. I don't know what that means. Motorbike Man catches him and puts him in the boot of a car. He drives off. Don't know what happened to the car or Elephant Man. By this time, people were leaving. My neighbor was sound asleep, and I had 2 red-hot pins ready to stick in both my eyes. I can't even I can't even be bothered to run over the rest of this imbecile, tedious story. Shots were held forever in the mistaken belief, I presume, that we give a damn about what we were seeing. Nothing happened. It's now the next morning, and I'm still angry at forking out €10 and wasting 2 hours of a life to see this pile of dreck. Beanie-hatted, sandal-wearing academics will just love this film and will witter on endlessly to their poor students about the significance of it all. Believe me, there is none. 463 people out of 774 found this review helpful. This is like the highest rated review.
Really?
One of the highest rated reviews I've ever seen. Like, people just want to come on here and bash this. Like, if you type in 10 out of 10, it's like artsy people, a lot of pretentious reviews, like talking about like
themes
equal
and
rights
stuff.
and fucking blah 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 blah. But then you go to the negative ones, dude, and it's just like negative review after negative review, just like saying this fucking movie holds no structure, blah blah blah.
Yeah, I think especially when there's the lack of a plot in certain things, you run that risk of coming off as like a pretentious movie that like people are just like, it doesn't really amount to anything. But I mean, it did it really well. I mean, we saw that when the Keanu.
Yeah.
That in the other podcast for the worst movie, and that was like you could tell that it was trying to be like pretentious and leave a lot out of the story and just like but it just didn't do it well enough.
Yeah, I like that review because I feel like it does actually raise the question of, where does this movie land on the line? Is it just because we have a soft spot for A24 movies that we appreciate it and say, oh, it's mysterious and you have to figure this stuff out? Or maybe is this movie a little pretentious and is it kind of just not filling in any blanks and just...
See, I don't think so. I think if you're going into a thing, it's Species. Remember that movie Species, where it's like a girl? Yeah. If you think it's going to be Species, you're already in the wrong category.
Yeah.
But if you go in thinking like this is going to be a movie with a lot of subtext and themes that you're supposed to explore with your own opinions, and that's how you're supposed to go into these movies.
Yeah.
It's
like going into Annihilation thinking it's going to be like Predator or some kind of
like Independence
movie.
Day.
Yeah.
Or like going to Ex Machina, I think it's gonna be Terminator.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's all about how you you go into these movies,
Mm-hmm.
and most of the audience who paid to go to these, who are kind of tricked by marketing, are probably pissed.
Right.
Well, the Witch.
Which is why
the Witch for me was similar. Where like I didn't think it was a bad movie. It just at the end of it, I was like, oh, that wasn't that scary. But it's because maybe just myself, but the way that it was being perceived and pushed, it was supposed to be the next like big scary movie.
See that movie? I remember when it came out on IGN, they had like there were some mixed reactions from people who worked there because I was listening to their podcast, and that movie was heavily pushed marketing wise, as a traditional horror movie. I thought, so I can understand. But Hereditary was kind of pushed as a traditional horror because it kind of was.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that movie eventually because that's like one of A24's most successful movies.
Yeah.
So we have to do that eventually. But
yeah, because like take a movie like Avengers, right? I appreciate Avengers because of the long story arcs that I've seen, and I want to see what's going to be next for the characters and what's going to happen to all these. But a lot of people just go and see Avengers just because there's fucking action.
Yeah.
Right? So then, but we both like it.
Yeah.
But now you take a movie like this, and it kind of loses some of that, like, easy grab, fast food movie.
Oh, this is a movie that, like, on a scale
this is a fine dining.
a scale of 1 to 10 of easy viewing.
Yeah.
This is like,
I'd say it's like a 7 or an 8.
Yeah, as like
because it's
on
not
the hard
terrible,
side.
but it's still It's not like The Enemy. Enemy would be like a 9.
Enemy's a
Enemy's a
9 or a
9.
10.
Yeah.
because that movie literally we had to watch.
Or like even Memento.
Ending spoiled.
Memento's a hard one.
Yeah, that's definitely
Watching it, you're like trying to figure it out. Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought this movie was great. I don't know if we should each let's go around the table here and let's give it a a best out of 5 stars.
Best out of 5 stars.
5?
Yeah.
Not a best out of 10.
Well, what should we do? This is the first episode of the A24 Pod.
Yeah.
What do we want to do after each movie? We're obviously let's rate them and
How about
what scale are we using?
How about
here?
best out of 24?
Oh.
Okay.
That's
we'll do
that's ridiculous.
we'll do 3 categories, best out of 10, and then we'll give it an overall out of 30. I'm just kidding.
We can just take the average. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, but we could do that.
So what? Best out of what? 10?
Best out of 10?
Let's do best out of 8, and then we'll add it up. It'll be out of 24.
Yeah.
Right? Because we each get 8 points.
Yeah.
What do you think? Is that stupid?
Okay. So we'll be reviewing it independently and then also reviewing it as a podcast.
As a whole, yeah.
Okay. Mike, you're first.
Out of 8, I'm going to give it...
Out of 8.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a... You know what? I'm going to go with the 7 out of 8.
All right.
I think it's... for me, it's my type of movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's slow. It's got great cinematography. I love the acting, actually. I thought Scarlett Johansson was phenomenal.
Yeah, she was really good.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been a little faster paced. I honestly thought it could have been a little shorter.
Yeah.
Which is why...
This movie could have got away with
it was an hour
shorter.
and 8 minutes or something. I thought it could have been around an hour and 25 because there's not much like... it could have been tightened up.
Yeah.
And there's not a normal narrative, so they could have definitely trimmed some fat.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm going to go with 7 out of 8.
All right. I'm going to go with... Yeah, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 8 as well. Yeah. Yeah, 7 out of 8.
Okay, Chase.
Yeah. I'm going to go with a 7 out of 8.
Yeah.
Really?
No, I agree. I mean, it's definitely... I like movies like this. Like, I liked Annihilation, and like that movie was weird at the end, too.
This movie, even though Annihilation isn't A24, but it's obviously the same director as Ex Machina, so it feels like a big budget A24 movie.
Yeah.
But there are some images in that movie that reminded me of this movie, like the alien.
Yeah,
remember that part?
That's what I was thinking. At the very
Tom's
end.
got to see that movie. I've been trying to have
that's a
carved
really
out
good
time for him
movie.
to watch it, but
that movie's
there's a
creepy
part,
too, especially with the bear.
The bear's
Skeleton
crazy.
bear.
The sound effects in the movie are crazy, and also that silver metallic alien.
Yeah,
in the end of the movie is fucking that movie that creeped me the fuck out.
I like movies like these because it's like for one, I feel like it can hold your attention more because, like nowadays, especially with like cell phones, like I'll be watching basic movies, even a movie that I think is good and I enjoy, but like every so often I'll get pulled off of it. But this, I don't know. It's nice to not have a movie so cookie cutter,
Mm-hmm.
and just to follow it along versus like actually having to pay attention a little bit more.
Yeah, it makes you think.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
a good 7. So
Yeah, so I did the math, and that's an 87
is that
out of 100. We
out of
gave
100?
it. Yep, 21 divided by 24.
That's good.
21 out of 24 A24s
That's good.
equals an 87.5.
Oh.
So, I mean, based on Rotten Tomatoes, that's
That's
actually
pretty good.
Yeah.
I think a rating scale is actually pretty good.
Yeah. All right.
87? That's kind of right where I'd think about it.
Yeah,
you know?
no, I would think of it too.
You know, like I said, if it was shorter, it could have been, I think, in the 90s.
Yeah, I
for
think
me.
they could have tightened up some scenes where she was just kind of walking around and stuff.
Yeah.
There were some scenes that were really powerful, but some that were.
They
Yeah,
could have trimmed
could've
15
been
minutes to bring it
Oh,
down
for
to an
sure.
hour and a half.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
This should be 90 minutes.
Mm.
I don't think an hour and 40 is push. If it was 2 hours, you
Too
would have
much.
lost me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too much.
Well,
Seriously.
the crazy thing was, like I read on it, there was no dialogue until official dialogue, like talking, until 13 minutes into the movie.
Wow.
Wow.
So yeah, there was very little.
Yeah, very symbolic.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
would you guys recommend this to someone else?
Yeah, but I think I'd have to be careful with my
Yeah, it'd be
recommendation.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very.
I would never recommend this movie to the kid I work with who told me that Impractical Jokers has been on the air for 25 years.
Well, that kid sounds
I
like
wouldn't
What?
he sounds like the guy with the.
I work with a
disfigured face.
guy. I work with a guy who told me that Impractical Jokers has been on the air for 25
And
Did
years.
you
he
like
said-
Google
and he
it
said-
and be like,
I was just like, oh, okay.
And he told you GTA 6 is coming out. this year.
And he told me GTA 6 is coming out before the end of the year.
really?
He's like, oh, did you hear the new GTA 6 is coming out? And I was like, oh, really?
I feel like he clicks on the ads
Like
on
clickbait.
Facebook. Yeah, like
Yeah.
really bad.
Oh,
like
God, yeah,
clickbait.
totally. Yeah.
See, I don't know if I would.
So, like, I wouldn't recommend it to him, but I would
Yeah.
recommend it to, like, somebody else. You know,
I think there'd be two differences. Recommending it to someone where I'm not going to be there to watch it with them would definitely be a smaller list. People
Yeah.
will appreciate those movies.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm with some people, like, oh, you want to watch a movie? And, like, I came across, like, oh, this is a really cool movie.
Yeah.
That I would be willing to watch it with more people because then at least, like, you'd kind of explain stuff to them
Mhm.
if they needed
See, I-
to. It's
no,
like
I
kinda-
don't want to do that.
I kind of learned my lesson with A24 movies when I recommended Hereditary to Perry, and
Oh.
he hated it and hated on it.
Mhm.
And I kind of
I like when
said, I don't know if
I
I'll
like
do that
when you
again.
watch the movie and you come up with your own. Halfway through the movie, I was like, I thought maybe she was like just put in a not put in a human, but like they created a human body.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like they just like engineered a human body and then like
Yeah,
put,
I
put
thought
her
it was either going to
conscience
be
in
like
it.
a cyborg. Then I did think for a second, is it just like a clone of a human being?
right, and
Yeah,
she's like
yeah.
just in it and
Yeah.
not feeling all that
Yeah.
stuff, which I think was kind of
Pretty much what it was.
yeah, her putting on the human skin let her do
Yeah, I didn't
that.
think it was just skin. I did. Yeah, I thought the same thing. That
But
it was-
I don't want to. I like when I wouldn't want to watch this movie with someone and then tell them what I think it is. I'd want them to be able to watch it and think of
Yeah.
what they think. You know what I mean? And come
Mhm.
up with and draw their own conclusions and bring up their own. You know, like I don't really care like the stuff like this woman being sexualized and stuff like that. Like, I think it could go both ways. You know, it's like I don't think the movie speaks too strongly to me on like women's sexualization. I think it just speaks on human sexual, like how much we love sex.
Mm.
Mhm.
But I don't really see like the women get it fucking hard because like can't you see it? It's displayed in this movie. Like fuck that, I don't care.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
if it was a
like
hot guy-
feminist type thing.
Yeah.
If it was
So I
a
read
hot
that
guy,
that
it would have
some
been work
people-
too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, some people thought that it was maybe like had some feminist type
Yeah, yeah,
tones
yeah,
to
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And also, I mean, also if you're not really into that, you could also dislike the movie because of that. 'cause
But
the
if
movie
you
does
watch
have
it-
heavy themes of it.
Right, but if you watch it and you feel that, then that's what you feel, and that's
Yeah.
how that's how the movie speaks to you. That's fine, because I think that's their intention making this movie. They don't have a whole book of lore
Yeah.
that they're like, well, actually, it is this. They're
Mm.
just making this movie and letting you come up with it.
I could see this movie if you went in thinking she was gonna like literally take them and kill them. Like I was actually kind of expecting like a classic, like she's gonna take them and then literally murder them.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like no, it's literally just like, imagery of her seducing them. Like there is
Yeah.
no killing.
Yeah.
You know, there's really no graphic anything in this movie.
Yeah,
know?
no, there isn't.
No.
The most graphic was her being like taking her skin off and then getting lit
Yeah.
on fire.
No, the
which
most
even
graphic thing was those fucking people drowning.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that was. That
There's
was
that, and
pretty
also I think
disturbing.
some of the sexual, like the sexual abuse in the movie is probably the most graphic, like the molestation and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But yeah, no, I mean it's not really a graphic movie. But there we go, folks.
Wow.
A24 number
Episode
one.
in
Episode
the bag,
1 in
baby.
the books.
There we go.
All right.
We all just said it in 3 different ways how to end this.
Yep.
In the books, in the bag, and what did you say?
Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go. It's over.
It's
Finally.
over.
All right.
All right.
We'll be back.
Thanks for
baby.
listening, folks. 21 out of 24 A24s.
Yeah, 21 out of 24 A24s.
Yep, that's what I said.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.